Hello everyone, how you doing? I'm here again to do a mix, and this time it's a lovely mix for a friend of mine's band, or should say friends of mine in a band, Neil, Paul and Mark, who make up tvfordogs. And Neil sent me a song that's going to be coming out on their new album, and this song is called Lead Boots. It's a nice song, recorded sort of differently to other stuff that I've mixed, and certainly differently to the way that I would record stuff, but sounds great, and there's lots of things that hopefully I can show you through this mix. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick over to this scene here so you can see the Cubase screen. As you can see, I've loaded up all the files here and kind of trimmed them up and chopped them into place and everything like that. I haven't done a mix as such, because obviously that's the idea of me being on this stream, is to do the mix live and you see what I'm doing. But I have whacked a few compressors on and put a few things in levels just so that you can have a listen through to the song before I start to mix it. But I'm going to be undoing everything I've done. I'm going to just clear it all off and start again. So this is just purely for the sake of you listening along. Hello, Will. Nice to see you over on Twitch. Yes, I'm streaming on the High Pass Show page and also over on Twitch. So say hi if you're watching live. If you're watching on YouTube later, then leave a comment and subscribe and all of that. I'm going to mute my microphone and I'm just going to play through the song sort of in its unmixed state, you know, just a very rough faders up, couple of compressors mix. And also, just for the sake of transparency, I'm running the whole mix through the CLA Mixdown plugin, which I use sometimes on certain styles of music, and I've also got an L2 at the end, just to kind of keep a consistent level for the stream. I mean, I probably won't have it on when I'm doing the final bits and pieces, but I've got that just there, and I've also got a level meter here, one of the Waves WLM meter, to kind of check the loudness of the track, because obviously when I'm going I don't have my microphone on so I can hear how it sounds with you, so I want to kind of keep a consistent level between my mic and the audio. Anyway, enough waffle from me. I'm going to mute my mic and let's hear the song.
Whatever were they thinking?
So there you go. That's the song with my very rough sort of faders up type mix. Let me move my microphone slightly. I can never get this microphone in a comfortable place. It's always in the way somewhere. I need one of those stands that comes up and kind of has it, and I don't know. Anyway. What are you saying? I'm guessing you're texting Dave, but it does look like you're giving it a rub. Okay. Thanks for that, Matt. Yes, no, I was actually sharing the video to my personal Facebook wall during the listen through at the beginning. That gives me the opportunity to sit and share it out in other places and whatever. Will says that sounded pretty good, man. That's cool. Hello to Matt. Hello to Anne. Neil is in the chat on Facebook, which is lovely. Neil, the writer and guitarist and singer of this particular song. Right, so let's start from the beginning. I'm going to take a load of things off. I'm going to start with the drums. So I'm going to mute everything. Start by just muting everything and then start with just the drums. Let's get that there. Okay, so on the bass drum at the moment, I've got some an EQ and a compressor, which I'm just going to remove, even though I'll probably end up putting them back on. So let's just have a listen to all the drums, actually, just as they are, with everything taken off. I'm just going to mute all the plugins I might have, and I haven't got any plugins on there. And I'm also going to take off, because I timed the overheads and the rooms slightly, so I'm going to take all that off and we'll just listen through to the drums pretty dry. So we've got here a bass drum mic, a snare drum top, snare drum bottom, hi-hat, 3 toms, 2 overheads, and a room mic. As you can probably hear there's a bit of bass guitar in the background, because originally it was a live take of the guitars, the drums, and the bass. I've got rid of the live guitar because Neil redid it. Hang on. So Will says, are you completely remixing this or just changing a few bits? No, completely mixing it. That wasn't mixed, Will. That was just kind of like a faders up, got it somewhere vaguely listenable, you know, for the opening. So yeah, well, I'm actually going to mix it properly now. If you thought that sounded good, then hopefully, you know, it will get a lot better. So just in case you're wondering where these comments are coming from, I'm dual streaming on both Facebook and Twitch. So yeah, I'm getting comments coming through on Twitch as well. So yeah, back to the drums on here. So you can hear the bass in the background of the drums, but I don't think, I mean, it's not like the parts changed and it sounds, you know, it just kind of sounds like a bit of reverb on the bass or something like that. I don't have a problem with it. But I haven't got sort of like an inside and outside bass drum mic. I haven't got a stereo pair of rooms. I've only got a single room. The kit, Neil texted me with the details of the kit earlier. It's a Yamaha Stage Custom with 10, 12 and 14 toms, and it's got a 14 by 7.5 Premier snare, which is, you know, why it sounds so fat, I think. And yeah, it's basically a load of Zildjian cymbals. I do have a picture here of his drum kit. I'm not sure whether that's actually from this particular recording session. I'm guessing not, because it looks like there's a ride mic there that I don't see in my channel list. So unless that was lost somewhere along the line, I don't think. Oh, that's a picture of me. I didn't want to show that. Where's the other picture? Oh, there's the other picture. So you can see here, this is definitely the kit, but I'm not sure that that was the same recording session. Anyway, on with the audio side of things. So I'm going to start with my normal routine. Let's get some surgical EQ going on. Anything that's ringing or over the top, we'll get rid of. Right, so I want to take out some of that, not too much. Just clean it up a bit. I'm hearing something around sort of the 200. About 180 hertz. It wasn't 200, it was about 180. Let's just have a little sweep through for other bits. Something ringing there. As well. Just widen them a touch. Let's have a listen up the top end, see. That all seems quite nice. Just got a bit of a ring, about 3 and a bit K. Just widen that up. It's not that serious, but nip a bit out there, and I'll give the top end a check. Well, that sounds pretty good to me. There's some sort of, to be honest, what I'll probably do is just put a low pass on that, and just bring that in a bit to bring down some of that whistly stuff. And because it's the high pass show, it wouldn't be right if I didn't do a high pass on it as well. Just a little bit of rumble, sort of 30 hertz and below, get rid of that. Right, that's some nice surgical EQ, just to kind of, if I turn that off, so let's go back to the beginning again. So what we've got there is, it's punchy, and then I'll turn the EQ on, and we've lost some of the punchiness and we've lost some of the ringiness. But what I want to do is now bring that back. So, for example, where I've notched out a frequency up here or a frequency down here, if I was to boost that whole bottom end, it would be boosting that as well. So the idea is now I can do quite big boosts and big cuts and big boosts here without these annoying whistly frequencies coming through. So the next thing I'm going to turn to I'm going to leave some room there because I might want to put a gate in it. I'm going to go to an SSL channel. And I'm going to take out, if I boost it first, some of all this kind of muddy bottom end. And then what I want to do is boost something that's clicky. And I'm going to boost some nice top end, which will of course already been rounded off here. So I've kind of got it rounded off here, but I'm also going to reboost it. So it will probably end up with a kind of a dip like that, and then boosting some of the top stuff. So I'm going to go back to here. So if I turn all the plugins off, that's what it was. And that's what it's become. Now, without it being in the mix, I don't want to. I don't want to be too specific about certain things until I've got it in context with the kit. But I'm just going from kind of previous intuition on what I think will work. So I'm going to put a little bit of compression on it. Get to like a 4:1 ratio. Tight release on it. And if I hit this clip bit here, because I've got the analog on, it should soft clip. Should emulate the channel sort of soft clipping as it would in real life. Yeah, it's not clipping. Right, so I'm just going to go with that for the bass drum sound. I've also created some groups up here, which I've called drums close, overheads, and all drums, which I'm not using yet. I just pre-made them. So I'm going to start by just sending the bass drum to the drums close group. So that should end up there. And the drums close group is going to go to all drums. So the routing is bass drum to drums close to all drums. So if I play that now, just the bass drum, you'll see it come up in these two groups. And I'm also going to pull that down a bit because I don't want to start with everything like hitting naught, otherwise it's just going to get ridiculous. So let's move on to the snare drum, which I also want to send to the close drums. So this is the snare drum top. I think I'm going to have some fun with this in a bit, but we'll see how far I get. So I'm going to take off all these things that I had on there before, even though they're not. So again, same again, surgical EQ. Let's do some surgical EQ on this. Paul. Hello, Paul. I'm glad you're watching. Thanks for this, Dave. Much appreciated. The pick is the kit, but from an earlier recording session. Excellent. Yeah, I thought so, because it didn't look like the mics were set up in the same way. Will says, every time I see you do this, I always learn something. Well, that's the idea. And I watch other people and I learn from them, and it's a sharing world. That's at least the idea. Right, let's do some EQ with the snare. High pass. But I'm going to high pass a little bit higher this time. Let's have a listen. Ooh. Listen to stuff that hurts. It's not just that it's there. I don't mind if a frequency's there, but if it's not hurting, if it's just coming out when you hit the drum, you know, fair enough. It's when it lingers and it rings and it seems to invade the rest of the sound. Like, so that up here, you know, it's there and it's annoying, but I have got it boosted, but it's not staying longer than it's needed. Some of that is, I'm going to bring that down a little bit. See that, I can hear it's lasting longer than the snare hit, so let's find the centre of it. Around there somewhere. I'm just going to widen it a little bit, take some of that out. See how that's ringing? Okay, same again, SSL. I love the SSL channel. I'm just going to start with a preset, because there's actually a preset in this that I love, and it's under the crystalled algae. and it's called CLA Snare Deep. But like with all these things, you need to do some work to it. It's not a magic load of preset and it would just be perfect. I'm going to bring a bit more bottom end off that. See how now, like here, we're boosting a little bit of 2.5K, which is around here, and that's in a reasonably wide Q. And if we'd not taken this frequency out a little bit, that would have been boosted with the rest of them and would probably be a lot ringier. I don't want the gate on that. Right, now with the context of the snare and the bass and drum together, I want to add a little bit more top end. Right, so now we've done got a basic bass drum and snare drum. I'm going to ignore the rest of the kit for a bit and move straight to the overheads, because I like to get as much sound as possible from the bass drum, the snare drum, and the overheads. Obviously, the toms will come into play soon. But so I've created an overheads group up here because there's two mono files, and I want to be able to deal with them together. So if I send them to the overheads group, and because I've got these channels linked, it sent both of them to the overheads group. So now my overheads should be coming up through here. And if I send them to all drums, then the overheads will go from there to there to there. Lots and lots of grouping and hierarchy going on. So that's just the overheads on their own, and that's with the bass drum and snare drum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by phase aligning them. I already calculated yesterday what the figures were, but I'm going to do it all again just for the sake of the video. So there's two ways you can do this. You could either run something like the Waves in phase plugin over the overheads, or you could run Waves in phase over each of these as a mono plugin, which is what I'm going to do. But then once I've got that figure, whatever the calculated figure is of the number of milliseconds I need to move it by, I'm actually going to turn it off and just manually put it in up here, because you can delay a track in milliseconds directly in Cubase, and it's actually a hell of a lot better in terms of like CPU usage. But I like the way the Waves in phase plugin works as a visual to work out what the value is. So I'm going to start by putting the in phase plugin on it, and let's open two instances of it because I've got overhead left and overhead right. And on both of these, because I've got the channels linked, the tracks linked, it puts the same plugins on both of them. So as you can see, it also, they both get affected the same. So yeah, that'll be interesting, see how all that works. So I've clicked the button up here where it's sidechains, so I can now go to the snare drum channel. That's the bass drum channel, the snare drum top there, and I can send the snare drum to both of these plugins. So you see where it says down here SC, that the snare drum is going to be coming out of the snare drum channel into this side chain here, and then this one up here, which is labeled alpha, that is your overhead, whether it be the left or the right overhead. So I'm going to hit play on this and then press this button here, which actually captures some of the sound. There we go. And now I can go along here and I can see this yellow one on the bottom is the actual snare drum signal. And you can see how far out the overheads are from the snare drum signal. So if I try and get this as close as possible on the line at the point where the snare drum starts, which is there, and then I bring back, using this dial here, bring back the overhead, so I try and get that in line as well, and you can now see that that overhead there, the left overhead, is perfectly in line with the snare drum. I'm now going to do the same on the right, although because they're linked, this will change the value. At the moment it's minus 3.81. Let's see if the right overhead is the same. And it looks like it might be 3.83. Yeah, it's kind of 2 milliseconds different, which is actually what I calculated yesterday. So I'm not going to leave these plugins on. I'm just going to go to the channel here, go to the top and say minus 3.81. And I'm going to go to the right channel here and go minus 3.83. So that's the number of milliseconds back, and then I can get rid of that plugin. And those overheads should now be bang in time phase-wise with the bass drum and the snare drum. So what I'm going to do to show you that better is I'm going to duplicate those two tracks, so we got a copy of them, and I'm going to, in the copies, reset them back to 0 so we don't have any of that, and they're all linked, aren't they? Give me a second, I need to unlink them and relink them in two different pairs. So unlink these channels, and then I want to link those two, and I want to link these two. Lovely, right. So now I can choose which ones I want. So if I listen with the bass drum, snare drum, so these are in time, totally in phase. Now I'll go back, and these are totally not in phase. See how much thinner the snare drum is and how inconsistent it is compared to it's subtle, but it really makes a difference in the big scheme of things. I think it really makes it. That is fabulously useful, Neil said 2 minutes ago. Yeah, do you see what I mean? So I'm going to do the same thing before I go on any further. I'm going to get rid of these extra overheads that I created for that demo. So I'm going to go to the room mic and do the same thing. So in phase, so I'm running the mono in phase plugin. I'll put the side chain on, go to the snare drum top, add a send. Or the old sends got removed because I removed those plugins, which is nice. So I'm just going to play the room. So that's that, and then we've got the snare drum there and the room there. Now I'm expecting this to be much further out in time, and I know it is because I did it yesterday, and that's a really hard place to tell. I'm going to try and move along to this one instead. So you see where it goes down here. I'm guessing that's the beginning of it. So here-ish. So that's given me minus 6.91 milliseconds. Let's have a listen to... So that's in phase. And then I remove the plug-in. Hang on. That's out of phase. In phase. Which to me sounds good. I'm not so much worried about getting it perfect on the room because I might end up moving it so it's a little bit out of phase just to give it some depth. But for now I'm going with the minus 6.91, which I'm going to go up to here and do minus 6.91. I mean a 0.01 of a millisecond here or there. I don't think you're going to notice too much. So let's turn that off now. So now I've got room mics and I've got the room, which I'm going to send to all drums. And I'll tell you where this becomes important because, you know, when you listen to a drum mix and it's not all perfectly in phase and whatever, and you can hear the rooms and everything, it sounds lovely. You know, I'm not saying everything has to be bang aligned. In fact, there's a lot of room mics which are like 20, 30, 40 milliseconds after the drums. They sound like a delay and they sound great. But if you really want to start saturating stuff, you want to put loads of distortion over stuff, all that bottom end that is going out of phase is just going to sound horrible. So I'd like to really trash that room mic up. I really want to just overdrive it and make it sound skanky, and it just wouldn't sound good if it wasn't in phase. I've either got to push it totally out of phase so it's not... you know, several milliseconds back, so it's not interfering with the drums, so it's kind of like a delay, or just get it bang in. I don't like it when it's a tiny bit out because you're just missing depth out the other drums. Then you're just cancelling out the close drums. So anyway, that's my overheads, room, bass drum, and snare drum top. Okay, so I can now pull down the room a bit. The overheads are coming up to here. So let's just listen to the overheads on their own for a bit. So same stuff again. EQ. Right, some whistly stuff up there. So what I've got there is I've got a load of whistly stuff going on, and I actually want to boost that top end quite a bit, but that whistly stuff was really sounding horrible, so get rid of it first. And then do that. And now I can bring out the top end without bringing out the whistle. Bring some of that down. Okay, that's a nice kind of basic EQ for this. Right, I'm going to compare some compressors over the top of these overheads because these overheads need to be nice and compressed. But I'm not sure. Well, I am sure what compressor I want to use, to be honest. Oh yeah, Paul says, didn't appreciate how altering the phasing could improve things. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's really, really important. And before I had the in-phase plugin, I used to just nudge things back in the studio until they sounded right, and it's great, but it's nice to be able to measure scientifically on the using the in-phase. Oh, Will's going. See you later, Will. Come back. Right, so let's what was I doing? Oh yeah, compressors on overhead. So I've downloaded this thing which is pretty cool, called Studio Rack, which is free from Waves, and basically allows you to run a load of Waves plugins in a single plugin instance. But I mean, I'm not going to be using it for much except comparisons. The great thing you can do with it is you can go to a parallel split mode, which I'm doing here, and add multiple plugins and then solo which one you want very quickly, and you can chop between different compressors and decide what, you know, or reverbs or whatever you want to do. So I saw someone doing this in a video the other day. I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly who it was, otherwise I'll give them credit. I'll find it and I'll put it in the description on YouTube to credit them for their thing. But they were comparing compressors, and I thought, oh wow, that's cool. I've got this piece of software, I'll do the same. So I'm going to start by using a 2A, the CLA-2A, which is the clone of the LA-2A compressor. I'm also going to put in there the CLA-76, which is a clone of the 76, the 1176 compressor. I'm also going to add in another 76, but in what they call the Bluey mode, which is the older one, which has more kind of saturation and harmonics. And I'm going to add in the SSL comp. Where is the SSL comp? Oh, can that not be used in here? Why isn't that there? Oh, SSL comp. There it is. I don't know why that wasn't coming up, or maybe it did come up and I'm just blind and didn't see it. So I'm going to try out comparing these four compressors. So I'm going to try and set the levels the same so that we're not getting a level boost between them. And this is just on the overheads. So I'm going to start. So about 3 dB of gain reduction on that. That's the. I'm using this level meter here to try and get the same level between the plugins. Right, so now here's the 76, just to prove that this is. Louder than the other one. Okay, they're a comparable level. Now let's go to the Bluey one. Try and get the release and attack pretty similar to that one. Being a bit harsher in general, the Bluey one, but I'd expect that. And finally, the SSL bus compressor. I'll turn the attack up a bit. And the release down. This one's slightly louder. Okay, so we've got 4 different compressors there now to someone, hang on, sorry, I've just seen a comment on here. I know, I just seemed to weirdly stop talking there. What was that? You're live in Kabul, Dave. Oh, sorry, I didn't understand you at first. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad I'm live somewhere. I thought I was live in my living room. Nice to see you on the stream, Michael. Right, here we go. So yeah, let's go back to the beginning and compare these compressors. So the 2A. '76 Blacky. '76 Bluey. Now the SSL. Okay, well, it's good. My favourite so far is either the '76 Bluey or the SSL, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and drive them all a bit more and see if we can bring out some of the more the sort of the tonal characteristics that hopefully Waves have modelled and made sound beautiful. So I'm going to get it a lot more. Up the release a little bit on these. Now over to this one here. Okay, so let's have a comparison of these now. First, the CLA-2A. Now the 76. I don't want to be comparing apples with oranges, so same bit. The other 76. And finally the SSL comp. That's decided it. The moment we got into that tom bit, I heard exactly what I needed to hear. Listen to that CLA-2A, listen to the model of the 2A working on the toms and the sustain of those toms through the overheads. Compared to no comparison at all. So in my mind, they were all sounding kind of much of a muchness till that I mean, they weren't sounding identical, but there were differences. But I wasn't finding it easy to pick which was my favourite one until that final moment where it went with the 2A, which, to be fair, is what I use a lot on overheads, either that or the SSL. So I'm not going to run this Studio Rack thing. I'm just going to run it on its own instance. And but if if I had to pick my 3 favourite compressors to use, you know, I don't know that I could pick 1 or 2, but it would have to be 3. If I only had 3 compressors for the rest of my life based on what I've got in plugins now, the CLA-2A, the CLA-76, which is the 1176 clone, and the SSL comp just cover all the ground for me. I mean, there's others that I like for individual things, but I could live without them. Those 3 would pretty much cover everything I need. Okay, so that's some nice trashy overheads. So what we've got surgical EQ, we've got the 2A compressor after that, and now I just want to do some more kind of broad strokes EQ. So I'm probably just going to try the just the SSL EQ. Pull some of that out, just in case you thought I'd gone mad or something. You have to boost the frequency to hear what you're trying to find that sounds horrible, and then cut it afterwards. That's what I was doing. So I was turning up to find out what I didn't like. I had a touchdown on that. A little bit more brightness on the top end now. I'm just pressing this button here, which automatically attenuates it so that it's not clipping. If I put analog on, it will soft clip anyway, so. Right, that compressor that I've got there over the snare, which is built into the SSL channel, is kind of taking off a lot of the kind of the basic transients and, you know, just leveling it out a bit. But I just want to have something really filthy on it. So again, I'm going for that 2A. Right, so now I'm getting that kind of thwackiness of it, but I'm going to add some stuff to that to kind of compensate for what's that compressor's kind of taking out. We'll come back to that in a second though. But that's sounding pretty nice in terms of overheads and room. Well, sorry, overheads and bass drum and snare. Let's have a listen to this room now. Let's try and drive this. Not sure what drive to use. I don't know that I can be bothered to go through the whole comparison thing, so I'm just going to try some. I'm going to do a drive comparison on the vocals anyway, so we will do some drive comparison. I'm going to try and put it through this. Bit much. Bit much. Hello, Trev. Yeah, I like that on the room. I like the crunchiness that gives. I might whack a really strong compressor over it as well. Let's go surprise, surprise. I'm going to use the 2A again. Higher than. Oh, that's sounding quite nice. I'm quite enjoying this. Yeah, so next. Yeah, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some artificial stuff to that snare. Now, I know I've got a snare bottom, which I am going to bring in at some point, but I'm just going to hold off from that for a minute. Because what I'm looking for is something that's different if I play you that snare bottom. I mean, for a start, there's loads of stuff. I could side chain it with the top. Yeah, I could side chain it with the top and clear out some of the filth from the bass drum that's going on, or I could leave it. You know, I could say that's cool and leave it in there. But I'm actually looking for a different sort of sound to accompany that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a track, which I'm going to make stereo, even though it'll probably remain mono, but just in case, I'm going to call this white noise. So hold your ears for a second, because I'm going to put over a generator plugin. this test. Oh, white noise and off. Okay, so as you can hear, that's bloody horrible. And that's just white noise being generated by a generator there. And then I'm going to create a gate, simple gate, built into Cubase, nothing special. And I'm going to sidechain this gate from the snare drum top. So same as we did with the phasing thing, I'm going to send it here. But unlike the phasing thing where I got rid of them once I've done the measurement, this is going to stay in forever, and I want it to be pre-fader, so it doesn't matter. I can turn this fader up and down, and it's still sending to this gate here. So if I solo the snare and the white noise, I've turned it down, but it's still coming through. You can see this gate acting here. And if I now turn on the white noise, and I can use the hold, the release, the attack to kind of shape a bit of sound. And then afterwards I'm going to EQ it. So I'm just going to use the SSL channel on this. Horrible. Nice sparkly top end. Rid of some of that. Let's get some compression on it. That sounds lovely. I mean, I might reduce it when it comes to the mix, but I think the sound and the EQ and the addition of that is nice. So I'm going to send that to the drums close, which will end up in all drums. So we see we're getting everything ending up in all drums in the end. Toms are the next thing I'm going to quickly work on. I'm going to start with the floor tom, just because it's so prominent in that section. So let me loop some of this round. So we'll start from there and end up here. So this also needs to be sent to the close drums. Some ringy stuff at the bottom end, which is just SSL channel. Just want to get that soft saturation on it a bit. So where have I got that panned? I've got that panned quite over to the right, and then the top two toms sort of slightly left and right there. Okay, so I'm going to copy those settings, much as I will tweak them. I'm going to copy those settings from the third tom to the second and first, just so we've got a good starting point. And then I'll find a bit where the top and the second tom are used. Where's the top tom used? Okay. Nice ring. Let's find the second tom. These toms here need to go to drums close. So that's now all my close drums. There's the overheads. And the room is going straight to all drums. I want something to stop this clipping and I want to bring it down a touch. So on this final drum group, I'm going to use the SSL comp because it's so nice and clear and just, you know, glues everything together without it ruining it. I'm going to use a really high attack time because I want all that punch to come through, and a low release time. So we're tickling it a little bit. Without that distorted room mic, just adds in a nice amount of filth, but you don't want too much of it. Right, to my ears, that hi-hat mic's got more drums in it than hi-hat. I rarely use hi-hat mics anyway, but even with the ring. Oh, I've got some comments here from Neil, the guitarist, singer and writer of this song. I'm assuming you wrote it, Neil. You've said, really liking the way Cubase is laid out. Seems much more ergonomic. Yeah, I used to use Logic, and I've used Pro Tools, particularly recently, because some people were sending me some stuff in Pro Tools. And I've also recently used Reaper, and I was quite impressed with that. But Cubase, you know, having kind of used all the major ones, Cubase always seems, I don't know, just the easiest to use, and it's got the most built-in features. And I mean, watch the video on my, watch the video. Oh yeah, you did write it, good. Watch the video on the quantizing drums that I did not that long ago, and you'll just see how simple it is in Cubase to just kind of time align drums and also something I haven't done, which I might show in a different video. There's kind of no need on this, but you can just double click. I mean, I'll show it here. It's on a guitar, not a vocal, but if I was to double click on this guitar and click on pitch and warp, you can see all the pitches of the guitar and you can move them around. Now, you can do that on a vocal. Now, that is basically the same as Melodyne, but built in directly out of the box in Cubase without having to run a third-party thing, which, in my opinion, introduces more crashing and processing power and whatever. It's just everything you want kind of like that is built in. All the editing facilities and everything is built in straight out the box, which I love. I really love. Anyway, that's given me a nice little ear break. Not you, though, because you've had to listen to me waffling. Let's have a listen through to these drums. I want to put a touch of reverb on them. I want to create... I generally don't use effects like an effects channel. I prefer to put things on the actual individual channels like reverbs and stuff, or group them and then put it on a group. But for drums, I make an exception because I want to add different amounts of reverbs to different drums. So for this, I'm going to use the Sunset Sound Studio Reverb, the T-Rex by IK Multimedia, which is absolutely stunning, if not a little processor intensive, but I'll forgive them that because it's well worth it. So I'm going to turn down the dry and turn up the wet. And we're just going to listen to the drums, and I'm going to send this as well. I want to send this effect, which I'm going to drag up to the top. I'm also going to, in my pedantic way, colour it red because it's part of the drums. Red is always drums, orange is always bass, blue is always guitar, keyboard's always green, and vocals are always purple, and that's my rule. No reason for it other than the fact that I like blue and I play guitar, and a lot of my guitars are blue, so blue is always guitar. I suppose red is danger and drummers are kind of dangerous, so I really must stop talking. Right, reverb. Start with a bit of snare drum reverb. There we go. I'm leaning towards this one at the moment, either that or one of the live rooms. But I think in the mix that's going to get... I like this one. Put a bit of pre-delay in on it. High past the reverb so we're not getting as much bottom end on it. Might be a bit long, we'll see when we get there. Put a little bit of it on the white noise. really needs a tiny bit on the snare for now, in my opinion. What's everyone saying here? Logic has that too, but it does seem a bit clunky, especially if there's tempo change. If Cubase is most user-friendly available, that's what I'll install on my laptop. It's about time I took more of an interest inside the recording process. Thanks, Dave. Really useful. No probs, Paul. Glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, I mean, I'll happily use Logic. For me, Logic is a bit of a protest. The reason I don't use Logic is a bit of a protest because they changed over to only being on Mac, and I love PCs, and I think you get more bang for your buck with PCs. I mean, what you'd spend 3,000 or 4,000 on a Mac, in terms of like the processor and everything else, you could get on a PC for, you know, just over $1,000. And people who go, oh yeah, but Windows and it crashes and it's slow and OS X is so much better. Well, Microsoft make an operating system like Windows to work on anything from the cheapest 200 quid computer right up to something that costs several thousand. If you run Windows on a crap PC and you don't install the right drivers, it's going to fail, okay? And it's going to be bad. That's not Microsoft's fault. That's not Windows' fault. Apple have got it easy because they're only writing an operating system for their hardware, therefore it's always just going to work. And I like the fact that Cubase is both Mac and PC. If you like a Mac, you can use it on that. If you like a PC, you can use it on that. Whereas you know, Apple bought Logic from eMagic and basically made the PC version of it obsolete. And I think they ruined it for a while, although the new Logic's a lot better. The old Logic 5.5, which is kind of the last PC version, was great, and then 6 was worse, and then 7 kind of got up to the standard as 5. And at that point, I just gave up and moved over to Cubase. So that's my weekly rant about why I prefer Cubase to Logic. But, you know, each to their own. So what I'm doing here is I've got the reverb sending also to the all drums group. So the reverb is actually being compressed in subtly with this SSL compressor as well. So I'm not treating the reverb like a separate thing. I want to compress it in. I love compressing reverbs and delays in with their original signals, you know, because then they're having a fight. And I think in a lot of music, particularly like this, you know, you want the music to have a fight with itself. I'm going to move on to some bass. I'm going to get some bass into the mix now because I've been going almost an hour and 20 minutes and I haven't got beyond the drums. I've got a feeling there's definitely going to be a part 2 because I with the distortion I want to do on the vocals, I think that's going to take at least half an hour. And then we've got like 68 guitars here to put in. So let's get the bass in and see how far I get. And I might have to do a part 2 on this later in the week or tomorrow or something, which I don't mind doing. It's nice to have an ear break. I can't mix for 4 or 5 hours and lose my hearing. I think about 2.5 hours without a break is a limit. So here's the bass. So for the playback purposes, I had an EQ on it, a CLA-2A on the limiter mode, and this Pultec EQ, which is absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to take all of that off. All of it's going. Goodbye. And I'm going to put it all back on again in a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this track here, this bass track, and I'm going to call this bass sub. And I'll call this one here bass high. Not because he was high when he played it, but because it's going to be EQ'd with the higher frequencies. So I'm going to start this one here. And so I want to get maybe start about 60 hertz and end around 100 hertz. So I'm just getting that low stuff. I'm going to use the SSL for this. Oh no, not the SSL channel. I wanted the SSL comp. sort of a highish attack around 10 milliseconds because it's a sub sound. Bring the release right back a bit. So that's just going to be our underpinning. Just all the low frequencies, nice and sort of clean apart from the growl on the bass, the natural growl on the bass. So we'll listen to that with the drums. Ah, it's not going to all drums, it should have been. So it's just some nice kind of solid bottom end underneath. I might have to, because I made a mistake earlier, I didn't actually send, I said I did, but I didn't do it. I meant to send this reverb to all drums. So I think now I might have to just pull down this reverb a bit because it's being pushed into that compressor and being turned up a bit. I wonder what it would be like actually if I just send a bit of that reverb from the whole distorted room, so we're getting a little bit of the whole kit through the reverb rather than just the snare. Let's see. Quite like that. Okay, so now onto the high bass, where I'm going to get a. In fact, I'm just going to do something different here because I realised I duplicated the track, but that's actually a mono track. So I want to create a stereo track, which I'm going to call bass amp, not bass high. So for now, I'm just going to ignore that. I'm going to copy that whole bass down to there. Remember, bass is orange. So that's now a stereo track. I'm going to get a lot of the bottom end out of that. And then I'm going to put the Amplitube 4 plugin over it. That's why I wanted it in stereo. So I'm going to go with just something basic like a putting a bit of a gate on it. And then I'm going to put a 2A on the end of that with a limiter on it in limiter mode. Get that really filthy. Not that filthy. Not yet, anyway. got some room mic that I had on in Amplitube that I don't want. Tom Harris says amen to the fight and the bass, absolutely. Trev's there, nice to see some low pass going on. Well, I always high pass, but sometimes you have to low pass as well, mate. I might try and just put in some sort of simulated stomp thing there. I might actually just put in a graphic and push the Look how much that white noise is adding. If I take it out, right, things are just starting to get a little bit messy now in places because I've got lots of compression, lots of fatness, so I might have to start now carving out some of the bottom end. Some of the bass might be interfering with the toms and whatever, but I'm not going to get too into that. I want to try and get everything in some degree and then kind of go back and just kind of like recursively work, and then it'll be a mess, and I'll go back and tweak this and tweak that, and I'll make them all fight each other, and then in the end it'll end up sounding good. That's the idea. But for this stream, because I've been going about an hour and a half, I want to at least get a load of guitars in and see where we get to. So let's start with the, I'm going to start with these two guitars that are called Low SG 1 and 2. That's what I've named them. You had Low Guitar SG 1, I think, or Guitar 2, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to group them because I want to work on them as a pair because they're both the same. I'll think about the panning in a minute. At the moment, I've got them dead left and right, even if it is right and left, not left and right. Let me create, so this will be Low SG. This will be our group for the Low SG. Right, stereo, Low SG. Low SG, Low SG. So Neil sent me some stuff about this. This is a Gibson SG Standard with Creamery P90s through a DeFox fuzz. Was this the fuzz one? Because there's some other SGs in there, I think. But yeah, through a DeFox fuzz from Das Musikding. I've no idea how to pronounce this. Through an Epiphone Valve Senior amp. There you go. That's the description on this guitar. Right, so the first thing I want to do on this is just give it some filth. Not 2A. This is a Pultec. This is a Pultec simulator. One of the most beautiful EQs ever made, with the idea being that you can pick your low frequency and you can pick your high frequency and you can boost and you can attenuate it. So if you're cutting, you turn that one up. If you're boosting, you turn that one up. But if you turn up both the boost and the cut, it kind of boosts it and then cuts it, but with a different cue. So you get some really interesting curves. And because the original piece is a valve unit, there's some lovely rich harmonics that come from it. So I'm going to have a go and see whether this gets me what I want on the guitars. So I attenuate. Yeah, 60. That's what they were. That's what it was. And now I'm going to go for a 2A. I just love this 2A plugin. I don't know what I'd do without it, to be honest. I'll just use something else. I'll tell you what I love more than the 2A plugin, because I sound like I'm going about plugins. An actual LA2A. I mean, I've been considering buying some of the warm audio copies, because these things are like $3,000 or something for one of these, for a real one. So I've been I've been thinking about buying one of the clones of it by Warm Audio, which apparently are meant to be identical, and building myself a little rack where I wanted 2 LA2A kind of equivalents and 2 1176 equivalents and 2 of these Pultecs, so I can do stereo pairs, and then I can actually run them out to a real unit and fiddle with them, and in some cases record like the mic on the way in like that. I don't know, maybe after, I mean, I love these plugins and I think they sound great, but I just want to get my hands on a real knob. Someone's going to clip that out and turn it into a meme or something, I don't know. Now listen to that. So let's have a listen in the mix, those ones. So if I turn all those plugins off, Right, I don't want them that wide. I don't want them dead left and right. I kind of want them about 70 something. So 77, that's a place where the mouse seems to rest on naturally. There we go. Right, so this is at the point where I need to do my next thing that I always do that I haven't done yet, and I don't know why I haven't done it yet. I need to create a group. Hang on. A group, not a VCA fader. A group, which I'm going to call All Music, which is basically going to have everything except the drums in it. Because I find that the more things I put in, the drums get lost, and then I end up wanting to turn everything else down, and it all gets messy. So, yeah, let's make that SG blue, because guitars must be blue. So this is our All Music group. So I'm going to send the bass sub to All Music. I'm going to send the bass amp to All Music. I'm going to send this low SG to All Music. And then that way, if I start losing the drums a bit, room down a touch. A group called Strat. Two strats to it. Well, I'm going to treat them the same as, I mean, not with the same settings, but I might end up with the same settings, you never know. That there. No, that one attenuation. Right. Because these are a little bit more trebly, I'm going to keep them pan dead left and right for the moment. I'm going to listen with these low ones here. Send it to All the Music. Right, so we got this thing here called low intro, which kind of reminds me of the SG a bit. So I'm just going to see what happens if we send it to the low SG group. turn it down a bit. I'll try one of those Pultecs on that bass now after the compressor. Mono Pultec. Next ones to bring in are these ones that that are called edgy. I've got two guitars here that are called edgy. Not because they sound like the Edge, I'd imagine, but because Neil probably thought they were edgy. And I'm going to repeat the same process, group them up because it's two that are kind of panned in some way. Well, they don't have to be. Make it blue, make it blue, make it blue. Okay, edgy. So let's just get this bit here looped round. It's a bit scratchy like that, but if I put the attenuation in, Boy. I'm going to bring them in a bit. I don't want them dead left and right. I'm just going to bring them in to say like 57 and 57. I'm trying to paint almost like there's a circle of guitar amps and there's some low stuff happening that's a bit more in the middle, and then as it gets more twinkly you kind of come out the outside, and I think these strats here are a little bit more twinkly on top of them, whereas this is more middly, so they're dead left and right. I'll come back to that in a second. Let's have this. Oh, I've got it in a loop, nice. Well, there's a lot of other stuff to go in there, but I think for the sake of this stream, I really want to get onto the vocals, or at least kind of showing what I want to do with the lead vocals, because the lead vocals are sung in harmony. How long have we go? Almost 2 hours. So let's have a look at these. I want to do this vocal comparison thing with the distortion, because for the little kind of run through that I played you earlier, I'd put some stuff on it.
Whatever were they thinking when they let you on the street with fire in your eyes and lead boots on your feet? The cocktail you've been drinking
fact, I just need to have this answer guitar in before I carry on anymore, because I love that part. So let's just... that's definitely going to need a high pass. I'm going to use the... let's get this Pultec on that, really fattening that up. And bring in... and can I add some filth at the top end?
The cocktail in your eyes, a lead boots on your feet. The cocktail you've been drinking.
So at the moment on the vocals, I've got, surprise, surprise, these CLA-2As in a heavy limit mode. So I'm trying to drive them a little bit. So if I go to this vocal group here and I just turn everything off in that group for the moment.
Whatever were they thinking when they let you on the street with fire in your eyes and lead boots on your feet?
So that's heavily
Cocktail you've been drinking,
heavily limited with the
couldn't taste that sweet.
with the 2As, which is, I'm not going to take them off and put them back on again, because you've seen me put 2As on stuff all the way through this video. But the interesting stuff is what I had going on here. So I used that studio rack thing. So I'm going to take all the delay and everything else off. And I was trying to pick here which kind of drive plugin I wanted. I also put one of the Pultecs after the vocals. I had the low frequency on 100 Hertz and kind of boosted a bit but attenuated a bit more, and I didn't do anything with the top end. But yeah, so if I solo this one, there's no plugins here, so all we're going to hear now is the Pultec.
Ever were they thinking when they let you on the street with fire in your eyes and lead boots on your feet?
So I'm just taking out some of that bottom end of it.
The cocktail you've been drinking couldn't taste that sweet.
And like before, when I did that comparison, I can compare between different drives, different sort of drive plugins, and also have this one as my clean one. So if I go to here, I've got the Butch Vig vocal plugin.
But you shout and you scream. Grind your
All I've done is just
teeth
turn
and
this.
stamp your feet from deep within the cave.
So that's one option. There's another option here where I've got that NLS channel, which I used. Hello, P-Whip, how you doing? Nice to see you. So I've got this NLS channel here, which I used earlier for the room mic, which is, you know, gives me different sort of preamps. And effectively, I click the mic, it's like a line level signal going to a mic channel, and it distorts in a very nice way.
That you made for yourself.
Obviously, I could turn this up,
That you've gotta be free.
but I don't really need to. Just putting the mic on is enough. And then I've got another third option here, which I used the CLA MixHub Lite, which sounds great. But if you watch my video from the other day where I entitled "The CLA MixHub Made Me Depressed," you'll see my criticisms about it. But, you know, all I'm using it here for is to try and get a bit of distortion by turning up this mic preamp thing here, and you can hear that it seems to...
In your eyes, and lead boots on your feet. The cocktail you've been drinking couldn't taste that sweet, but you shout and you scream, grind your teeth and stamp your feet from deep within the cave.
Well, instantly I'm going to dismiss this this Butch Vic one because, I mean, I might have to mess around with the EQ and stuff, but the type of distortion is just not what I'm looking for on there. Let's have a look, see what other kind of distortion. There's this thing called the CLA Effects, which I really enjoy, which is one of the crystalled algae signature plugins. And again, you've got a top and a drive, and it's got some reverb and stuff that I'll just turn off. But I want to see what it sounds like through there.
Ever were they thinking when they let you on the street with fire in your eyes and lead boots on your feet? The cocktail you've been drinking couldn't taste that sweet, but you shout and you scream, grind your teeth and stamp your feet from deep within the cage that you made for yourself, that you've gotta be free.
So that there sounds a bit too middly and distorted, but there's things about it that I like. To me, these two here, the NLS Channel or the MixHub Lite, are kind of driving in a similar way. I know I'm just saying there's a red mic knob there, and on this one there's like a red drive knob, and I've got a feeling that there's probably under the hood similar software doing everything, because I can't hear a huge difference between these.
Let you on the street with fire in your eyes.
And I think just purely because of the CLA MixHub being a total arse when it comes to processing power, I think I'm going to lose that one. I don't want to lose all of it. Remove plugin. There we go. Right. And I've got the clean one there, which I want to dismiss. So it's kind of between these two at the moment.
Whatever were they thinking when they let you on the street with fire in your eyes and lead boots on your feet? The cocktail you've been drinking couldn't taste that sweet.
Right, there's things I like about both of them. So this is the great thing about this sound rack, is I can have both of them. And I can have it running in parallel. So I'm going to try and have both the distortion from the CLA Effects, and I'm also going to try this kind of channel strip drive.
Whatever were they thinking when they let you on the street with fire in your eyes and lead boots on your feet?
With the NLS channel a bit higher.
The cocktail you've been drinking couldn't taste that sweet, but you shall.
And then after that, yeah, I like the CLA too, but it's losing some of the things, so I want to mix the two together. That's why I like kind of mixing the two together. So this is drivey, but got a little bit of clarity, and this one kind of has the balls of being distorted.
Whatever were they thinking when they let you on the street with fire in your eyes?
But now I'm going to go for another stage. I'm going to introduce this H delay, which I've set to a 16th in terms of like the delay time, and I've got it on ping pong, so it's nice and left and right. It's pinging left and right, and I've brought up the high pass, so with the delays are not going to have a lot of bottom end on them, and brought in low pass, so again the delays are not going to have a huge amount of high on them. And let's have a listen to that.
Whatever were they thinking when they let you on the street with fire in your eyes and lead boots on your feet?
So that's a nice little bit of slap that I'm looking for. And then after that, we're going to introduce an 1176 in the Bluey configuration with loads and loads of saturation. I'm going to pump this ridiculously. So it's being pumped on the individual channels with the 2A. And then we're pumping it through two different sort of distortion types mixed together. Then we've got a delay, and then I'm compressing that delay in with the sound with this here.
The cocktail you've been drinking couldn't taste that sweet, but you shout and you scream, grind your teeth and stamp your feet from deep within the cage that you made for yourself.
Right, so now...
Whatever were they thinking when they let you on the street with fire in your eyes and lead boots on your feet? The cocktail you've been drinking couldn't taste that sweet, but you shout and you scream, grind your teeth and stamp your feet from deep within the cage that you made for yourself, that you've gotta be free.
Right, I feel I need a de-esser in there somewhere, just to get rid of some of those sort of breath sounds that are heavily compressing in between. But I'm now at just over 2 hours, and to be honest, I'm starting to get a little bit of ringing in my ears. I haven't got it that loud here, but it's a lot of harsh high-end frequencies when you're dealing with that. So I'm going to have a break. I doubt I'm going to come back tonight, but I might well come back tomorrow evening and carry on doing some stuff. And I might go through some of those guitars later on and just put the same plugins that I've been using, those EQ P1As and whatever, the Pultec stuff and the CLA-2As, and because I'm not doing anything extreme particularly on there, nothing you haven't seen. So, and then we can come back for a session tomorrow where I'm going to try and sort of get some levels. I also want to get certain reverbs. There's some effects on these that I want to put on. And then we've got the backing vocals to dive into, and then kind of making it all fight each other and bring things up and down at certain points. But yeah, I think that's kind of enough for one evening. So I hope everyone's got something out of that. And yeah, I will see you again tomorrow. Good night. Have a great start of your week, and have a great rest of your Sunday evening or daytime if you're in America. Oh, actually, I should just play the whole song through start to finish. What am I doing? I'm ending the stream before I've even played the whole song through. What a dickhead. Right, I'm going to mute my mic, play the whole song through, and then I'm going to go. See ya.
Whatever were they thinking when
See you later, everyone. It's been wonderful.